Hey, Greg and Sam.
Hey, hey, how are you?
I'm good. I was really inspired by your solstice, um, what you did for us for solstice, and it's on my mind all the time.
Oh, good.
And it really changed my meaning of Christmas as well.
Oh, good,
Um,
good, good.
yeah, the whole idea of gift giving it's just
Yeah, that's the thing that Master Cho used to say is he'd say, the most obnoxious person has to practice giving once a year and activate their heart, whether they like it or not, because of Christmas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd really gotten away from gifts because of so many different reasons. And it was just like,
Yeah.
now it
As you
hasn't.
get older, it's more of just an expression or expression of gratitude or that you care
Yeah,
about somebody or something. But as adults, we kind of like we want something, we go get it. Like, you know what I mean?
it's,
So it's kind of different than it is with little kids, but still, I think sometimes it's just the act of doing something. And the thing too is it doesn't always have to be a physical gift. The thing that we go through and do like for Christmas is I go through and I do a couple of meditations, and I go through and I have a list of people, and we go through and we just sit and bless like each person, like one by one on the list. And so we go through and we do that with the students and people that I work with and family members, and we generate this big list, and so it doesn't always have to be going to the store.
I love that.
Mhm.
So that really energized my Christmas day.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Um, and then the other piece, though, is the focusing on the temples on a daily
Oh,
basis.
yeah, yeah.
So I
How'd that
have.
treat you? How'd that treat you?
Well, within the first few days, I was having these intense moments of just automatically going into like a meditative place.
Yeah.
Um, and it was
Yeah.
happening in the weirdest times, like when I was driving the car. I could barely keep
Mhm.
my eyes open. I felt like I needed to pull over. And now it has stopped. And I
Mhm.
feel, and I'm a little like, okay, so was it just a shift in my energy and my body was taking it in, so it was dramatic? Or have I allowed negativity to lower my light?
So like what can happen is like you can kind of like you'll make a shift, because what that's doing is that's hitting the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is tied to executive functions. And so it's tied to like behaviors and decision making and your ability to like say like, okay, I want to go to the store, and then monitoring the behavior of like, okay, I got to go to the car, I got to get in this, I got to grab my wallet, I got to drive to the store, I got to get what I need from the store, so it's monitoring all that action to produce the result, right? And so this area is very heavily impacted by conditioning, which we were talking about earlier. And and you could say like it's a byproduct of just a lot of our past experiences. And so a lot of times when you're trying to do something new or different, you're having to do it through the I don't know what you would call it, like the veil or the processes of the prefrontal cortex. And so um what happens is you might make a bit of a shift, and then you kind of hit a like a where you're just gaining your equilibrium a little bit, but the shift is there, right? But it's like you almost get to where you're like, but I could use another shift. Like I like that, like because it feels good. Like you get to be you basically are getting to step away from the past and get to be more engaged in the present, where, we all kind of got a little bit of a foot in the past, a little bit of a foot in the present. And a lot of times the past is more of a difficulty than we give it credit for, or that we realize. And so by going through and working that simple thing, it's almost like you get to go, set that aside for a moment, and so you can do different versions of this, I've taught it in several different circles, so I can't remember exactly what part I showed you guys, because I've got my hands on about 4 different situations where I'm teaching in different situations, and there are different modalities. And so you can do one version is just putting your awareness here, right? Then the next version is you could put your awareness there, and you can do mantras. Like you could do something soothing, like Om Mani Padme Hum is nice. Like I like it for that. But the one that I use a lot for myself is the one for Tara. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tur Soha. Like if you just Google like Tara, there's a bunch of different Taras, but that's like the base root mantra for almost all the Tara mantras. And so you just keep your awareness up there, and you can chant that mantra. There's other mantras that you can use to go through and like purify it more, but it's really not so much about purifying as it is like think of it as just like calming down, like something that's like agitated. Like if you were to go through and go, okay, what are the different parts of the body or the physiology or the mind or whatever that is the most agitated, like from a scale of like start with 1 and work your way down the list. The prefrontal cortex is probably number 1 on just about everybody. Like, I mean, it is, it's just a byproduct of all our past experiences, mostly the negative ones, because the negative ones impact us and we experience them more intensely a lot of times than we do the positive ones. Because we're trying to resolve it. So we keep thinking about it, we keep feeling it, we keep trying to resolve it, and it keeps imprinting on this area. And so, I mean, it's just the way we're wired. And so by going through and doing the temples like that, it really unwinds some of that. And to go after and just like clean it can be a little intense. Like it can actually even cause a little bit of a frontal headache a little bit. Like if you went at it really intensely. I mean, it's not causing any harm. It just kind of hurts a little bit. But the other thing to do is you put your awareness on the temples, and then you move to just one side. And it doesn't matter which side that you start, but I usually have people start on the left just so to make it uniform. But you put your awareness on the one temple, and then when you move your awareness, move it through the head and come out on this side. And then leave it there for a little bit, and then move it to the other side. And then keep going back and forth. Right. And so what this is doing is, because this is a byproduct of the brain. So even though it's the prefrontal cortex, there's still a little bit of the left side and the right side that's being more dominant in the function. And so by moving the awareness back and forth, you're really cultivating that aspect of the more intuitive part of the mind, which is going to be more spontaneous. It's going to see beyond the senses, and it's the aspect of the mind that is interacting with the soul. You're almost like dragging some of that in and moving it back and forth through the prefrontal cortex. And I would say things change after that. Like it's been my experience. Like it would be hard to go and just teach the general public that, because there's too much other stuff that has to be unwound. But once you've been kind of doing the practice a little bit and you do it and you go, wow, that was amazing. Like it kind of takes the edge off of things a little bit, or the crankiness, or the like, oh, like that hurt my feelings, or like it takes all of that off without having to be super specific about any particular situation. And so, like, I taught this one person how to do it, and she made some comment. She goes, I feel a little bit less triggered by things. And she goes, I don't always just go to the negative. And see, like that is something that our brain is wired to focus on negative things, to try to resolve them, prevent them, or not let them happen again. And so it's almost like it's still good. You're not completely unwinding it, but you're tempering that part of the prefrontal cortex that is tied to this like survival type drives, when you can almost like tell that part of the brain, like, okay, but life is good. Like life is okay. We're not running from a cheetah in the jungle. Like we don't have to have our guard up like that. You know what I mean? And our physiology hasn't caught up with how life is now, like you could say. And it just helps you to not have your foot so much in the past, and it makes it much easier to be more current or spontaneous in the present, if that makes any sense.
Well, that's the practice that you had on the solstice.
Mhm.
And it is like it really touched on what my goals are right now and what I've been working really hard, like to, uh, it's real easy to walk out and see, oh, the garden is a mess, when actually the garden is gorgeous.
Right,
And
right. A perfect example. Yeah,
yeah,
perfect example.
well, it's the simplicity, the mundane that
Mhm.
really I've been trying to focus on, and I'm coming out of a divorce, and it's there's one lingering little piece of it,
Mhm.
that just this evening just knocked me off my feet, and so
Yeah, try
uh,
doing this little reboot. Like try like, okay. So because the thing is like there is a thing that has to be addressed, but at the same time, like you don't want to have to deal with like all the things from the past, not even with this person, just like all the negative things, like, okay, when I was 5 somebody stomped on my toe, and then somebody yelled at me, and then this happened, and then that happened. A lot of times we're coming from a place of, because of our wiring, because of the brain, that we're coming from the place of there's this, and then there's all the other times that somebody's done something, where like here you just want to be able to, like, okay, there's a difficulty there's a negativity, but let's let the negativity just be its own thing, rather than that with 10 years or 20 years or whatever it is of other negative things. And so I know, like, doing this, I mean, this is going to sound weird, but like, how many times can I say that tonight? This is going to sound weird, but it works so well sometimes that this is it's almost insulting to people, or people get weirded out, because people are used to like certain kinds of interactions and reactions from people, and it can make you like so non-reactive that you're not participating in somebody else's like little thing, and it stirs them up a little bit. And so you know, like in my younger years, like doing some version of this, like being in and around my family, not my immediate family, but like, you know, like a holiday or something. Um, you know, people are telling stories, and if you listen, like a lot of times, you know, not maybe people who are in our circles, but just like general people, like if you listen to them, it's just a lot of negative things that they're talking about, you know, because it's the brain. They're processing the things that were the obstacles or the painful things or the upsetting things or the things that cause them discomfort, and that's what they're communicating. And so when I would be around them, and you know, having done this prefrontal work, um, when they would say these things, I wouldn't give the response that would be like a normal response, you know, because like I wasn't getting like caught up in the
Validation of their
yeah, the explanation of whatever it is. And so um you know, I had to ask Master Choa, like it's becoming a problem. Like I go places and I just think we're having a nice peaceful conversation, and then somebody gets really super upset or angry at me. I don't even know why. And you know, he pointed this situation out, and he said sometimes you have to like pretend to be upset or pretend to be like worked up about it. And, you know, at first I thought, so I have to act all weird and emotional, but he was just like, you know, he would do this thing where he'd go, interesting, interesting, interesting. And, you know, at first I thought, well, that's kind of odd, but I started doing it with my family, and it works really well. You know, because it is validating them, where you don't also have to go follow the bouncing ball into their emotional turmoil and feel it with them. You know what I mean? Like you're giving
yeah.
them validation without having to go, oh, okay, now I'm standing in it. Yeah, this does suck. Yeah, like I feel it. I this does not feel good. I hear you, and I'm validating what you're saying. Where here you can go, yeah, I can observe that that's really not very pleasant. Yeah, and I can give you validation for that without getting my feet wet or dirty or whatever you want to call it. Does that
Well,
make sense?
yeah. In my situation, though, um, as I've gone through working the oils and raising my vibration
Uh-huh.
and all of that, I actually have people calling me or texting me out of the blue
Mhm.
and just saying they don't want to be my friend anymore. Just like it's just been bizarre.
Hmm.
So, um,
Yeah, people have a hard time with change. Like, and if you change, like, you know,
it's but they don't even know that they're going through these changes, and then all of a sudden it's so my life is drastic right now. I
mhm.
am moving, I am making these changes in my thought process and everything, and so I just am so thankful we have these Tuesdays and I can
Yeah,
hear
oh, good, good.
everyone.
Try doing the thing with the temples and the Tara mantra. Try doing it with the. I mean,
Yes.
if you can't do that one, Om Mani Padme Hum is probably easier. Like, you know, like
No,
at
I
first you
like
have to look at the mantra. Go, okay, Om Tare, Tu
oh
Tare,
I've
Tur
been
Swaha.
practicing since you introduced it to us, so I like it a
Oh,
lot.
good. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very soothing. It's very, very soothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Like anytime you need like something that's like soothing, you know, there's all the oils and everything, but like sometimes you're like, I don't have an oil, or like, I don't know what to do. Go to that mantra. Just go to that mantra. Like, even if you
Okay.
don't put your awareness on the temples, just start like Om Tare Tu Swaha, and just like start chanting it, and all of a sudden we'll just go, yeah, that edge just kind of went away, or that agitation just went away. It's very, very soothing.
So that last little, what I call like a syllable, I
Uh,
found lots and lots of variations on it. You
yeah.
spelled it at one time. How do you spell it again? Because I missed
Um,
it.
like you said, there's a bunch of different variations, but
Yeah.
if I remember right, it's SVAHA.
Okay.
So you go like swaha.
Okay. Great.
But even if you
Thank.
say swaha, it's fine.
All right. All
I
right.
just I have a little personal thing. I like the swaha, but
Yeah.
it's to each his own.
Well, thank you. Have
Yourself.
a great new year if I
Yeah,
don't
you too. You too.
get in touch with you again. Thank you.
You bet. Take care.